Hey, this is Brindle Wolf. You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action, with programs to spark your growth, lift your spirits, and help you rise into your potential. Rise Awakenings, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awaken and climb. Rise Awakenings, now is the time. Rise Awakenings, let's rise together.
Start with the quiet parts, the things you hide behind your laugh. Sit with the ache a while. Let every question breathe and ask, who was I trying to be? Who am I when I just stay? Name every tender scar and let them have their say. Till your heart carries you. This is the blue.
Pages of old beliefs, stories that kept you playing small. Lay them out on the floor, see which ones never fit at all. Offer your younger self a kindness you never.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bloom and this fabulous Monday morning where I feel like everyone's feeling this moon energy that we have going on. Tomorrow's new moon and solar eclipse. Anyway, if you're new here, the wisdom that I share on this podcast is based on my personal experience and knowledge from my educational and healing journeys. I share in the greatest degree of love, so take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I don't even know what's coming out of my mouth today because I have no idea how this conversation is going to flow, and I'll at least start with how I'm in this position. Before we dive in, I just want to say thank you to Micah for being the man behind the curtain who does everything technical to make this show go. Thank you for keeping this a judgment-free, safe space. I'm calling somebody out, regardless of where they're at their journey. And if you want to dive a little bit deeper, just find me on the socials or look me up on healingrose.org and book yourself a free discovery call. So let's dive into something. Well, okay, here's how I got to this point right now. The bloom is a reflection of Sunday Circle. Not this week, though. Sunday Circle went differently, and I did not have the conversation with the individual that I asked for a topic of or from. So I asked people, what do you want me to talk about, kind of thing, whether on this platform or in person. And she said the P word, the P word. If you're new here, no, not that P word. But if you're familiar with the core and the shows, there's a different P word, P-I-V-O-T. So she is not familiar with my podcasts, by the way, which is even funnier. The one who requested the topic. And I gave her a follow-up question of, well, in what area are you talking about? Because, we can go for a long time on this topic. And so she didn't respond. So, of course, since then, which was a week ago, I've been thinking, well, I need to talk about this. I need to talk about that. So there's these list of things that come along with making a change is what I'm going to say. So I don't use that P word. Change isn't easy. Changes are, yes, he's got it on the screen, that P word. Change isn't easy. It's not. It takes work and effort on our part. So maybe we should just start at the very beginning. And of course, Spirit Radio is playing "We'll Start at the Very Beginning." Little Sound of Music going on in my head. So the beginning, we have to realize thinking the same things, doing the same things, acting the same way isn't going to work moving forward. And change is not going to happen unless we actively choose to do something different, to think something different, to shift our mindset into something different. And that does mean that we have to first radically accept the fact that perhaps there are parts of us that are thinking, acting, and being unhealthy without us realizing it. So that's where we start. We start with the self-awareness piece. We start with the question everything piece. We start with the learning what it is that we need to unlearn so that we can decide how we're going to change. That's the piece that's hard. I think we just don't know what we're going to change. I think we just don't know, well, I don't know, which way do I go? We need a direction, don't we? Because that's kind of what the P word means. It means go in a different direction. What if we don't know what that direction is? So maybe this is how Sunday Circle will go when that girl comes and I actually have that conversation. What's my direction? How do we know what our direction is going to be if we don't? And this is why there's 10 million topics that come out of this very word and why it's such a problem for somebody in the... we don't know which direction to go in if we're not first aligned with ourselves. We're not first aligned with ourselves if we're not aware of who we are. If we're not aware of who we are, nothing's going to happen. So first we have to become aware of who we are and decide who we are for ourselves and not who we were told and programmed and learned to be. The unlearning part, it's the action, right? You're doing great, Micah, because Micah's like, oh, this is going to be a nightmare. Because he like, I usually give him what I have written down for me to follow so I don't go off on tangents. And I don't have anything for him because I'm like, I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth. We're just rolling with it today. I'm just going to talk. Spirit all week has been like, stop, Diane, just talk. Just stop trying to find something to talk about and just freaking talk. So here I am. Doing something spontaneous and different. Right. Exactly. Be spontaneous, damn it. Back to the topic. So maybe it's because I'm neurospicy and a bottom-up thinker in the way of like, well, what has to happen first at the bottom, holding up the entire foundation. The first thing that has to happen is the acknowledgement that you got bad intel. That's where we have to have radical acceptance, because then we also have to radically accept that that means during our healing process, we're going to be looking at ourselves through a different lens, through the lens of, oh gosh, what did I say, do, act like, and think like with that bad intel ingrained into me? Yikes. What impact did I make on others? How was I received? How did that go? As Micah's favorite question, how's that working out for you? I like to ask, how did that go with those folks? And how did that make you feel? Did it resonate with you? Did you feel comfortable? Did you feel like it was off? Was there an imbalance in it? Did you feel like ashamed? Did you feel like you did something wrong and it didn't feel like you were nice? Did it feel like you got in trouble? What did it bring up for you when you reflect on those things? Because you are going to have to reflect and become so self-aware that you learn about yourself so you know what direction to point yourself in. And I also want to acknowledge, yes, radical accountability is required. In that radical accountability, that's the first pivot. The radical acceptance piece includes accountability, information, conditioning, programming, religion, society, culture. There's so many different facets to us that makes us who we are in this human experience. So that radical acceptance is the first pivot that we take. That's the first direction, is deciding to become consciously aware of yourself and choose and consciously aware of what you need to unlearn and choose something different. Okay, so I feel like that might be the meat and potatoes of this conversation, is in order to change anything, you have to first accept that what's going on ain't working and it hasn't been working. That's okay. There's no shame in that. It's an awareness level. So shifting your perspective to what is now in need of being in my awareness. Radical awareness. That's one. There needs to be radical self-awareness. It's a choice to do that. I hear from every single person that I have a discovery call with, I really don't have time for that. And so I ask ever so unladylike and crudely, and ask for your forgiveness in advance. You do sit on the toilet, don't ya? You do brush your teeth, don't ya? You do take a shower, don't ya? You do stand online in the grocery store, don't ya? that's where you have a window of opportunity, because any and all change starts here. Okay? Any and all pivot, any and all direction starts here. Self awareness is an inside job. It is an inside job of witnessing and observing what you say, what you think, how you feel. Are you mindful? What's on your mind? What beliefs do you hold? Self awareness is an absolute inside job, including when someone tells you something about yourself. It's still up to you to look at yourself in that way and see that, because many of us have said, I don't do that. I don't act like that. I don't. That's not me. All of us. Now, mind you, it could be coming from a really bad source that you don't trust anyway. The idea is that your self-awareness is your responsibility. So it's up to you to decide to take a look at yourself in that way and discern if someone's projecting their own inside pain at you, or if it is you deflecting what's real that you don't want to see. Because how do you know that you're not triggering someone else? Now, again, people are all unhealthy all around us anyway, so we're all triggering each other. That doesn't mean that they're abusive and toxic in a way that's not reparable, that's not evolvable. I'm going to make up words now, like George W. So just make sure that you use your discernment when you're self-awaring, when you're analyzing what you're thinking, believing, feeling, doing, whatever. I want you to broaden your knowledge, okay? Because change doesn't happen without new information. In order to pivot, we need to learn what directions there are for us to pivot to. So we have to learn what those things are. Start looking for things that are more in alignment with what you choose to feel. I'm specifically starting with feel, because all we kind of want is to feel safe in life and to feel heard and understood and loved and cared for and accepted fully and all that wonderful stuff. That's going to require that we do that for ourselves. So that's the kind of information we're going to need to expand on first, is how do we hold ourselves into consideration, respect, and love? Go watch every episode of Phoenix Talks. There's 3 seasons. And go watch the other shows as well. Okay? Because we're all talking about self-love all the time. So expand your knowledge on how to and what is the meaning of these different wonderful things that you want to embody. And start expanding your education. You're going to be shocked. You're going to be surprised. And you're going to actually start to help yourself heal on a deeper level, because you're going to connect dots you didn't know you needed to connect. Expanding your knowledge is paramount, because how the hell are you supposed to know what else to try? If the information you got was bad and the examples you have around you isn't enough information for you to go on, and it certainly taught you some negative shit too, you got to use the free internet until and before they start making you pay for it. Okay? Because that might be coming too someday. So I would love for you to contemplate the ideas of change is not going to happen without, I believe, these foundational steps: the radical acceptance that what you learned was off, and the idea that that definitely had a huge impact and effect on every decision, every action, every thought, every mindset, every belief that you hold and have held throughout life. So there's that matter of self-reflection that has to be there. So the foundation has to be the radical acceptance that you need to learn new things, and things have to be different, and that you learned crappy things. Okay. So let's talk about, I got a question for you all to answer. What you didn't accept about yourself created the reality you live in. That's a big statement. let me take that statement and reword that to include a few things. Whenever we bypass what it is that we don't want to see in ourselves because we have yet to learn that what it is about us was unhealthy, we don't realize how self-sabotagey that is because we're putting out this energy that we don't want to be putting out. We don't know. We don't recognize that as bad or unhealthy stuff, right? So since we don't recognize it, we're putting it out. We're just like, hey, look at this energy. I don't understand what's going wrong. Why does this keep happening? That's why. Because we're unaware of what it is. And most of the times we might have been told, so there's some depth, so there's some deep level of awareness somewhere in us because something doesn't feel right, right? But we're not accepting it. We're just denying it. So let's talk about the times in which you learned something about yourself that was really vulnerable and how that changed your experience moving forward. I'm going to start with I learned that I didn't know how to apologize. First of all, I had that like trauma response for apologies thing going on. So I apologized for every ounce of my existence and everything that I used to do and whatever. Every breath that I took was like, oh, sorry for breathing. I've been one of those. So there was that. But then in relationship repair dynamics, I was big for saying, I'm sorry you feel that way. You know what broke that cycle for me? Yeah, you know what broke that cycle for me and I learned how to apologize better? Because my kid feeling the that's bringing up I sweat. Seeing and feeling the pain I caused in my child from not giving them the apology and the validation that they deserved. Because I couldn't see myself as that bad of a parent. Now, that being said, I know I wasn't a horrifying parent. I was ill-informed and I had learned to communicate in ways that were very unhealthy. And until I saw that pain and felt that pain in my child from what I wasn't able to give them in that moment because I hadn't learned the foundations and necessities within that apology, all the different pieces of apology. And if you want to know what that sounds like, go watch Phoenix Talks. We've done these shows before. Okay. I couldn't pivot. That changed so much for me because then I stopped apologizing for every cotton picking little thing in my life for existing. And I only apologized where it actually mattered. And I had context, reasons, accountability, and then a plan of action. And then that plan of action was acted on. Because I took the time and energy to learn how was I supposed to say sorry? I literally had to go learn that. And I did. And it changed not just my dynamic with my kid when I finally was able to apologize appropriately and then learn to just own all of it and accept whatever it is his experience was or her experience was with me. Right? So that was my share. Michael says, I remember one time getting ready to get on to my son about something and I clenched my fist, gritting my teeth, and I heard my mother come out of my mouth. Never did it again. Almost puked. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure you were able to repair from there. Because that's been there, done that. Fully owning all of it. Now just tell my kids, yeah, that bullshit, that was bullshit, and I'm sorry I was such an asshole to you. That fuck that bullshit. This is what you need to do now. This is how I tell my kids. This is literally, you know. I'm sure that's not what mine are older though. They curse. So they didn't get it from me. They got it from school. Well, maybe they did get it from me. Anyway, that's a whole different topic. So apologies never start with deflection. And accountability never starts with deflection. Let's talk about that for a minute, because we can't change unless we hold ourselves accountable, because we deflect with ourselves. We don't hold ourselves accountable to ourselves. Who holds us accountable to us? We have to hold ourselves accountable. And where that gets muddied in life is with relationship dynamics, where you feel like you are controlled and you're held accountable and responsible for how other people react to you. So then you're not actually being true to yourself, and you're self-betraying. So self-accountability means not betraying your needs, making sure you're aligned, making sure you're being true to yourself. Okay. And making sure that you are taking different actions going forward. That's the pivot part. That the pivot part comes after you create that foundation of, let me have my own back. You can't change anything if you keep betraying yourself and abandoning yourself. Someone had said something here that I wanted to post up here. Here we go. Accountability doesn't begin at but. Yeah, exactly. There it is. Okay, so when my ex's parents came and took Clara for the week and then brought her back, when she was brought back, they tried to trap me into saying something negative about Tim. I refused to do so. That was fantastic. That's good, because you didn't play their game. That was a huge pivot, I'm sure. You probably took that bait hard and fast in the past. What I did say, they tried to twist, and I clarified, telling them, no, I was agreeing with you. They looked weird. Yeah, because they tried to entrap you and they didn't. So that was a huge pivot. See, the word's not so scary after all. You can do it. We can do it. We can all pivot. We just have to pivot how we think about something and how we see something. We got to reframe things in life. We have to look at things from a different lens. How many of us are still road raging out there and getting mad in traffic? How many of us are calling people names and not being a safe? Because, like, if we think about it, whatever we project outward into the world is exactly what we think and feel about ourselves. That's why we become self-aware. And we ask, well, do I really feel that way? Or is it just I'm frustrated that she can't see your point of view? Do we really feel that way? Or is it that I'm not feeling heard in this scenario? Right? So that's where the self-awareness comes in. That's where the changing the mindset comes in. How do we view things? I never question someone's integrity based on their driving skills, how they respond to things, any of that stuff. The reality is it's all just, I'm witnessing. It's all just evidence and data that I'm collecting to help me understand where a person is at and whether or not I'm aligned with them. And listen, we all make mistakes. We all have made mistakes. That doesn't make us horrible human beings. It makes us ignorant. And sometimes people are willfully ignorant because they're really stuck on those beliefs because they don't have the self-awareness. So every time you catch yourself thinking of projecting something that you don't really feel about yourself, or that you wouldn't say to a child or think of a child, don't think it, say it, or do it. Because the reality is, even the damaged people, the ones that I don't think anyone's damaged. They're all just at where they're at in a level of understanding. But the terminology that's out there, the ones who have done us wrong and abused us in a lot of ways, and they're at where they're at. We decide, step away from that. We decide to set boundaries. We decide not to take the bait. We decide not to get sucked into their chaos and drama. We decide how they fit into our experience. We decide. Nobody gets to decide that for us. Nobody gets to choose how they make us feel. Nobody gets to dysregulate us. We choose that. Can't say the same for technology. I had a meltdown this morning, okay? Just saying, I'm just throwing that out there. Because sometimes, this comment is, I've said before, I had a friend who taught me this lesson. A real apology has 3 steps. Yeah, I add steps to those 3. Acknowledging and admitting you did something wrong, and with what? Yep, or what it was. Acknowledging and knowing how it negatively affected the person that you're trying to make amends with, right? Validation. Yep. And making a plan to try not to do it again, but not promising you'll never do it again, but at least showing up willing. Yes. Be human and actually doing better. Yes. Being human, acknowledging your plan. And, I'm neurospicy. I come with a disclaimer. I ask for forgiveness before I fuck up again and say, I may not remember in a crucial moment, and it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the way my brain is wired. The second I'm reminded, it'll come back from the archive. So please approach me with compassion and a reminder. I will probably remember for the second time that I have to be reminded, because I'll feel so shitty. Like I'll feel devastated on the inside. Like, I think the impact on me is greater, like in my world, in my internal world. Not that it is. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, that's a way for me to remember it. Is that trauma of hurting someone. You know what I mean? But yes. Here's a comment that says, I had an Uber driver start a conversation about relationships, and now I'm happily not in one at the moment. He asked me if I ever thought about maybe I was the problem. I shocked him and told him, of course I'm part of the problem. It takes 2. Yes. Yes. But the question is, I think he was expecting an argument. Yeah, probably. But that's okay. And the follow-up question I have for you is, in what ways have you actively pivoted into that self-awareness so you knew what to pivot into and not make those mistakes again? That's the question. So it's the idea that we have to change our mind. That's the hard part, because you change your mind, it changes everything. Like, there's grieving that has to happen now, because your life would have went very different if you knew something different, and now you have to grieve shit that you didn't know you had to grieve. It gets in the way. I get it. I understand, because your emotions are going to be needed to be addressed through this process of pivoting. You got to do it, though, because then you're going to stay where you're at. And I thought that was so bad that you can't take it anymore. So really, it's a decision. Do you want to feel that way, or do you just want to see yourself through the eyes of compassion instead? And if you're shaming yourself, who else are you shaming around you in your experience? So the mindset and self-awareness starts paying attention to how you act externally and seeing if you like who you are and how you're received. That's where it starts. You have to see yourself in others, whether how they respond to you being a reflection of your energy and how it triggered them. This is, every dancer in history of forever has had to pivot or they'd run out of stage. That's a fun analogy. I like that. That's a good way to put it too. Right? We do need to pivot in here first. Yes. Okay. So there's a follow-up conversation that's happening about not being blamed for other people's choices. And actually, let's pause on that for a second. What happens when you are blamed for someone else's choices? When you receive the brunt of all of that stuff? Are you immediately into deflecting? Are you have you learned other ways of communicating that will tell them that's not my reality? Because there's different ways to say stuff that's going to get your point across without suddenly having to be your defense lawyer in a case that you didn't know you had to be in. Okay? So instead, we could stop that by saying, I remember things differently. That's not how I experienced it. That might be your experience, and we might need to agree to disagree that we had different experiences. Those kinds of things are what you can say. May you not be a part of the problem until you agree that you are. Yes. Everyone's at their own space and place in their own journey. So I think the challenge for us for change is having to deal with the things that come with changing. Yeah, there's the ugly side. So let's talk about the ugly side of pivoting, which is why it's so scary. We're going to alienate people who are supposed to love us. We're going to piss people off who are supposed to love us. We're going to lose people and situations and circumstances and access to things that are going to be a challenge for us to navigate through. We're going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. We're going to have to navigate through that. We're going to have to decide to put ourselves on the priority list and not put everyone else and their reality as our responsibility. That's the hardest part. Because everything I said before that requires a healthy level of not giving a fuck. Oof, this one's a lot of cursy in this one. Okay? We have to have a healthy level of not taking responsibility for the reactions of anyone around us when we get new information for ourselves that aligns with us, feels right in our soul and feels safe to us, feels productive and healthy towards our life goals and objectives. It's going to piss people off. You don't have to grow a thick skin. You can maintain love and vulnerability and kindness. What you don't want to do is take on responsibility for their emotions, their reaction, and their discomfort. We'll call it that. Yep. What's a healthy level? Question mark. Because I think I've got one, an overabundance. So here's the thing. You aligning with yourself is the only thing that matters. And you're going to pivot a lot because it's a process of learning and unlearning, trying on and seeing if it fits, and then learning something new and trying on that instead. It's an evolutionary journey. It's a process. We keep saying that over and over and over again. The ugly parts is, the tower card. Things are going to fall away. Things are going to fall apart. Relationships are going to distance themselves and minimize or break completely. You're going to have a totally different attitude. You could change political parties. Who the hell knows? Listen, it's a big shift because you're aligning more with a heart-centered space. This world is not made for love and compassion. This world is made for judgment, shame, guilt, anger, resentment, grief, sadness. It's made for unhealthiness. Let's just call it unhealthiness. Breaking free from that is going to irritate the people that took advantage of you, used you, had their cake and ate it too, has beliefs that are based on fear-based systems, broken systems that really don't resonate with you and are very oppressive and damaging to you. Right? We're going to send away all the abusers. You want to prevent abuse from happening again? Put yourself on the priority list and decide to pivot. Make your detachment game super strong. Super strong detachment game. Go watch those Phoenix Talks episodes too. Okay? Pivoting for me can be tricky because I'm so used to reacting and being defensive. I am learning how to reframe those into boundaries and responding when needed. Yes. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand you. Just say stuff like, I have a different reality than that. That's not how I remember it. We're going to agree to disagree. I don't agree with that. That's fine for you. I'm going to do my own thing. Thank you anyway, but no thank you. That's all. We don't have to defend. If they ask for why not, because this is how it makes me feel. This is what it does in my experience. These are actually what my needs are, and this actually interferes with my needs. Give them the context. Go clinical on them. Think this is why detachment is necessary, because you have much more mental clarity when you're not coming from that reactivity place. That reactivity place is you not feeling heard, you not feeling received, you not feeling seen, you not feeling accepted, you not feeling considered, you feeling disrespected. That's where that's coming from. Okay? That defensiveness is where it's coming from. Now, mind you, if you're around shit people and the people are making you feel like shit, and that's why I'm not calling them shit, I'm saying they're bringing shit to your life. They're carrying it for you and saying, here, take this shit. And you're saying, okay, how long do I have to hold it for? That's what you're doing. Stop. Drop it. Drop it. Their feelings are not your responsibility. You cannot take responsibility. Listen, we've all had terrible paths in some way, shape, or form because of decisions we made based on our limited beliefs and understanding of things back in whenever we were in worse situations, right? That's one way to say it. However, we can only blame other people so much because at the end of the day, once we recognize that something is not okay, it's up to us to make the decision to choose something better for ourselves. And this is where the self-compassion is very important, because a lot of us have spent decades abandoning our needs, not setting boundaries, not speaking. We didn't know. The compassion is needed because you don't know what you don't know until you learn it. Okay? But then compassion is needed again when you realize that, well, I learned that, but then I didn't know how to implement it and I didn't have the guts to do it. The healing journey needs compassion because it takes time to evolve from that with little baby steps. When you reel in the people pleasing and giving in, you'll discover who truly appreciated it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you don't have to reel it into folks who make you feel safe, make you feel validated, heard, seen, loved, cared for, gives you the gift of them and their presence and whatever they give you. You got to dial it back for the people there's a balance with. You got to dial it back where someone is draining the heck out of you. I got the... Okay. This one says, I just think I am done with people who only use me when it's convenient, but only I ever hear from when they need something. I just don't answer the phone anymore. Or when they show up, tell them it's not okay to just show up. I'm done rewarding. Yeah. That's a pivot right there. Your pivot is not responding, right? I'm over showing them anything other than it's not okay to treat me any kind of way. Then I'm still here. I'll still be here when they need something if it's not mutually beneficial and they're not dying. And I'm the only one they can save their lives. It's okay. I'm laughing But I feel that with every fiber of my being. It's like, don't call me unless you're dying. You lost privileges. That's what it boils down to. Valuing yourself. Okay? The pivot happens when you place yourself on the priority list. You got to value yourself first. Stop abandoning and betraying yourself. You have to stop abandoning yourself. Where are we? I'm reading. Sorry, I'm trying to read as fast as I can. So the pivot. Let's talk about the pivot when it comes to being surrounded by people who are just keeping you in that mud. Some of us live with people that keep us in that mud, and we have to interact with their energy every day. That's a challenge. That is absolutely a challenge. And for that, I am sorry. I am sorry that you are challenged with being surrounded by that. And some of us don't have a choice. And this is why I say detachment is very important, because you're still attached. You're taking on responsibility for them. That doesn't mean you don't love them. Detachment, go watch those episodes. Detachment does not mean there's no love. That's not what it means. It means that you're putting your value and your worth above someone else's disrespect. Okay? Sometimes you need to chain link cutters to be able to to pivot, yes. And that's the hard part if there's any emotional connection. So go back to Phoenix Talks. I forgot, it might be season 2. I think we talked about that in season 2 and talked about it again maybe this year. I'm not sure. You still love people for who they are and how whatever there is that there is. And also not going to be emotionally stunted by their inability to approach you in a healthy way. Their limitations are not yours. Don't make them yours by stooping to their level and lowering your wavelength to match where they're at, just to try to feel heard, understood, accepted from them. That's all you're trying to do. You're trying to get you're trying to get the difficult person to like you. That's what you're trying to do. That's what healing is about, right? We're on this healing journey. We're like, oh, I just want difficult. No, that's not what the healing journey is about. The healing journey is about loving yourself, validating yourself, hearing yourself, not abandoning yourself, not betraying yourself, because you're on the priority list. You're on the priority list now. Okay? Change cannot happen unless you are on the priority list. Radical acceptance. Okay? That self-awareness piece inside of that has to include people come with limitations. Let me take it back to road rage. People come with limitations. What if somebody's late to go visit their dying mom in the hospital and they cut you off? Are they really an asshole? Or are they going through some shit? Are they texting on the phone? How do you know what's happening on the text? How do you know their child isn't in some dangerous situation and you're glued to that phone whilst you're trying to get to them? Think first. Think. How would I want someone to approach me? So no more road rage. It's pivot to, oh, slow down there, buddy. You're going to hurt yourself and somebody else. I hope your day goes better. That's different, isn't it? That's a whole different energy, isn't it? When somebody attacks you and you jump right into, I got to defend myself because that's not true. What the fuck, right? Instead, when you're attacked, could you give me more context and how you came to that conclusion? Could you help me understand where that's coming from and why you have that belief about me? Could you tell me your experience in that circumstance so I could see your perspective? Instead of jumping to defense, let them add clarity. Don't do the work for them and try to assume and put stuff in there. That's your own trauma. Let them add the clarity and tell you. The burden of proof is on them. Just like in court. You know what I'm saying? So emotional healing cannot come from the outside in, happens from the inside out. Yes. That emotional healing and pivoting go hand in hand, because you cannot have one without the other. And that's why that word is so scary. And change is the only thing that's constant in our lives. Everything is meant to pivot in one direction or another as we move through life, gather more information, learn who's not aligned with us, learn what feels right in our heart, find out different groups and people, that organizations that actually resonate with us and can create a community with us. We pick our community. I have a beautiful community of soul family. I'm good. It took me years to get here. That doesn't mean I don't trip up. That doesn't mean I'm not having a human experience. That doesn't mean that my brain and my nervous system don't respond to things in my environment. It does. But because I practice pivoting every single day, multiple times a day, based on my self-awareness of what am I thinking, what am I feeling, how do I want to think, what do I want to feel, okay? I'm pivoting all day long. Heck, I even pivot dance sometimes. I just pivoted before this show to remove the negative energy that was created by having problems with technology. So we have to pivot all the time. Let's accept the ugly as just part of the healing process, because we're already accepting the ugly in our journey. We've already been through pain of pivoting. We know what it's like. It's okay to pivot. We need to change in order for us to do anything different. Okay? And I think that's the most important takeaway, is change is necessary and it's okay. What's not okay is shaming yourself and not having compassion for self, and not having yourself on the only priority list that you're responsible for. I don't think I need to say anything after that. Okay? I love you all. Okay, let's end it here. Go love yourselves. Go pivot.
From the soil of your sorrow, petals from pain, new color in tomorrow. You walk through the dark with a soft, steady truth, holding your heart till your heart carries you. This is the This is the blue.
Hey, this is Brindle Wolf. You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action, with programs to spark your growth, lift your spirits, and help you rise into your potential. Rise Awakenings, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awaken and climb. Rise Awakenings, now is the time. Rise Awakenings, let's rise together.